There's a lie we've all been told, a quiet one that doesn't shout but seeps in, silently, invisibly, like a fog that blankets your life until you can't see the horizon anymore. The lie is this: you are the way you are, and that can't be changed. Maybe you've heard it in the way people describe you. That's just how you've always been. Or maybe, worse, you've said it to yourself after failing again, after breaking down, after snapping in anger. You swore you'd never show again. But what if I told you that who you are isn't fixed? That your mind isn't a locked vault, but an open canvas? That the storm you've been walking through isn't a curse, but a message? What if your pain wasn't the enemy, but a compass? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you noticed that your thoughts weren't just thoughts, but blueprints? That your reality wasn't built from external events, but internal patterns, each one brick by brick, thought by thought, belief by belief. And here's the catch: you've been laying those bricks without knowing the structure you were building, but now you're standing inside it, a prison or a temple. Moments are slipping past you, faster than you realize, like sand slipping through the cracks of clenched fists. You try to hold on. You grip tighter, but the tighter you hold, the faster it falls. And no one taught you the truth. You can't stop the sand, but you can build with it. This isn't motivational fluff. This is biology. This is psychology. This is your chance to finally break the loop. The core problem, let's be honest, your brain is not a villain, but it is a master manipulator. And the greatest trick it pulls is making you believe it's just telling the truth. You hear it all day. I'm not enough. I always mess things up. This is just who I am. I'll never change. And you think that's me being realistic? No, that's not realism. That's rehearsal. Your brain is running a script you didn't write. A script shaped by moments you didn't choose, painful memories, unmet needs, silent betrayals, emotional absences that left their mark in places you didn't even know could bruise. You learned early that love could be conditional, that approval had to be earned, that safety wasn't always guaranteed. And so, you adapted. You built defenses so clever, they started looking like your personality. But they're not your personality. They're just armor you forgot how to take off. Cognitive dissonance becomes your shadow. You say you want peace, but your nervous system is wired for war. You crave stability, but chaos feels like home because it's all you've ever known. You want connection, but you sabotage intimacy because vulnerability feels like a risk you can't afford to take again. These aren't contradictions. They're echoes. Echoes of old blueprints formed in silence, reinforced by survival. And here's the tragedy. Most people live their entire lives inside these patterns, never realizing they're not facts. They're just habits of thought. You've been walking through a house built in the dark, navigating by muscle memory, but the lights have never been on. And because the bars of your mental cage are familiar, you stopped seeing them. Comfort is the most dangerous prison because it convinces you that no other world exists. The deep dive. Let's go deeper. This isn't poetry. This is science. Your brain is not a fixed machine, it's a living organism. A garden, a forest, an electrical storm shaped by neuroplasticity, the ability to change itself, to reshape, to rewire, based on what you repeatedly do, think, and feel. Every thought you repeat becomes a trail. Every trail walked enough becomes a highway. And soon, you don't choose your thoughts. They choose you. You've rehearsed stress, rehearsed self-judgment, rehearsed anxiety. So now they arrive automatically, without permission, without resistance. And society doesn't help. It celebrates realism, which is just another word for learned helplessness. It tells you optimism is naive, that healing is soft, that change must be slow. But here's the truth. Change doesn't begin with belief. It begins with interruption. You don't need to believe you're worthy to start acting like it. You don't need to feel ready to take the first step. You don't need to dismantle every limiting belief before you start walking differently. Because it's not your belief that changes your brain. It's your behavior. Neurons don't ask for permission. They ask for repetition. So here's how you start. When the voice says, "I can't do this," you don't argue. You don't yell back. You interrupt with a breath, with a pause, with a new, opposite action. Because every time you stop the spiral, even for a second, you plant a seed. And enough seeds become a forest. Your mind is a radio tower. You've been tuned to fear for so long, you forgot there are other frequencies. Hope, joy, peace. But you'll never hear them until you change the station. So let me ask you again, who is really in charge of the playlist? The emotional turn. Let's strip away the theory. Let's step out of the lecture. Let's get honest. There's a part of you that still aches, that still whispers late at night, "Why am I like this?" That wears smiles like armor, that pretends everything's fine while screaming silently beneath the surface. You know that part, the one that shows up in stillness, the one you keep busy to avoid. You've been strong for so long that softness feels dangerous. You've built a life around coping that you've forgotten what actual living feels like. And somewhere along the way, you confuse survival with identity. You say you want change, but if change threatens the self-image you've built to keep yourself safe, you'll sabotage it. Because pain, at least, is predictable. So let me ask you, what part of your suffering have you made sacred? What belief about yourself are you holding like a relic, even though it keeps you small? Who would you be without your anger, without your sadness, without your story? It's terrifying, isn't it? To let go of what's always been. But here's the thing. You are not broken. You are rehearsed. You are not defective. You are conditioned. And conditioning can be rewired. Your memory, reconstructive. Your identity, malleable. Your story, still being written. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait for someone to rescue you. You don't need a new life. You need a new lens. And that lens is built not in comfort, in confrontation. The solution. Let's talk about freedom. It's not the absence of pain. It's the presence of power. You don't heal by feeling better. You heal by feeling differently, responding deliberately. Rewiring the brain doesn't come from a single epiphany. It comes from interruption, followed by replacement, repeated with fierce consistency. Here's how it works. Your brain notices what you focus on. Then it reinforces it. Then it automates it. So when you focus on shame, it strengthens the pathways for shame. When you rehearse failure, your brain makes failure easier to remember and harder to escape. But the opposite is also true. Focus on courage, enforce courage. Rehearse gratitude, deepen those circuits. This isn't magical thinking. It's neural engineering. But it's not easy. Because positivity is not pretending things are okay. It's choosing to build a mind that can hold grief without drowning, that can walk through fire and still see light. Your job isn't to never feel fear. Your job is to stop obeying it. So here's your blueprint. When your brain says, isolate, reach out. When it says, shut down, stay present. When it says, numb, breathe deeper. When it says, quit, step once more. and you do it again and again and again, not because you feel better, but because every repetition is a vote for who you're becoming. Your mind is clay. Your thoughts are tools. Your habits are code. And every time you act differently, you write new code. So feed the thoughts you want to grow. Starve the ones that shrink you, because what you feed grows. The call to awareness. Let me leave you with this. You won't become positive by accident. You'll become positive by design. And design requires destruction. You must be willing to tear down the parts of yourself that were built from fear so you can rebuild from truth. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to return to the version of yourself that existed before the world taught you fear, shame, scarcity, and self-betrayal. Your brain is not your enemy. It is your reflection, and reflections don't change by force. They change by light. So ask yourself, am I willing to become the architect of my mind? To sit in the fire of discomfort until the old patterns crumble? To live each day as a rebellion against the wiring that no longer serves me? Because the tools are here. The science is here. The path is paved, but no one can walk it for you. So now ask yourself, are you ready to dismantle the illusion of permanence and rewire the reality you've been surviving into one you can finally thrive in?